We're continuing our progression into probability, but this one is a binomial probability problem. It says a fair die is rolled 10 times. Now, a fair die just means basically that it's not weighted. And unless it specifies, we're going to assume that the die has 6 sides to it, which is a key component. But a fair die is rolled 10 times. We are to find the probability that at most one roll is a 5. And then we can round our answer. Now, when we say at most, one roll can be a 5. 2 rolls cannot be 5s, though that doesn't work. So we can have one roll that can be a 5, or we can roll these 10 times and have none of them turn out to be 5s. Any one of those two are just fine. So our probability, what we're looking for on this particular one, is that at most 1 is a 5. That's it. We can have less than 1. We can have 0 or 1 basically are our two that we can have. So we're trying to find the probability that 0 or 1 roll is a 5. Okay, and the way that we're going to do this, first we need to determine the probability that 0 rolls are a 5, or 0 roll is a 5, and 1 roll is a 5. We're going to add those two together. Okay, so 0 rolls, let's see here, so we need to figure out a couple different things. We need to figure out our P's and our Q's on this one for our formula. Okay, so our P is getting a 5. We need to find the probability of getting a 5. Q is going to be the probability of failure, or not getting a 5. Our R value in this case would be 0. We want it to get, we're focusing on this one first off. We want it to get, we want to roll a 5 0 times, and our N is going to be 10 times. So that means 10 times that we're going to roll this die. Okay, so we're trying to find the probability first of getting a 5, and we want to do that 0 times. Okay, so that when we roll this 10 times, we want to get a 5 0 times. So the combinations that we'll do here is 10 choose 0. We're going to roll it 10 times, and 0 of those are going to be our 5s. Now then we need to calculate what the probability is of actually rolling a 5. The probability of rolling a 5 is just 1/6, because there are 6 sides to a die. So 1/6 is going to be our probability there. Then we want to find out the probability of not rolling a 5, and that is going to be 1 minus the probability of success, or 1 minus 1/6, which would be 5/6. Remember, there are 5 sides of the die that will not be a 5, so 5/6. Okay, now that we have that, we've got to fill in this information here, and we want the number of times that we want to roll a 5. In this case, it's 0. We're trying to figure out this one. 0. So this one right here is going to be a 0. Then up here we're going to have N minus R. Okay, so N is 10 and R is 0. So 10 minus 0, which is just 10. So if you want to, you can plug this one into your calculator. You'll find out that the answer on this one is just 1. And anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So technically what you can do is just type this in, 5/6 raised to the 10th power. And that will be 1. Excuse me, not 1, but that will give you your answer here. So we can do that. 5 divided by 6 raised to the 10th power. Oops. Let's try that again. 5 divided by 6. Let's go on the outside of the parenthesis this time. There we go. Raised to the 10th power. Here's our answer here. Okay, so it's 0.161505. And we're going to round that one just because we need to make sure that we have enough room for all of our information here. I'm going to round this one to 5 decimals at this point right here. Typically you want to try to go out to 6 decimals if you can. If you wanted to, you can type this one into your calculator just like it looks here. And this is going to be a 10 choose 0, and we can type that in here. We'll go N C R, then we can type it in 10 comma 0. That's 10 choose 0. Then we're going to multiply that by 1/6. That's our probability of success, and we want that to occur 0 times, so we're going to raise that to the 0 power. Then multiply that by 5/6 raised to the 10th power. There you go. You'll see that these two answers are the same. That's the shortcut, but if you want to type it all in, that's okay too. Okay, now we can do that on the TI-84 as well. Let's bring that guy in. We'll clear out what we have in here. So then we can do 10. We'll do combination if you go to the math button here. Then go over right here to probability. Go over a couple spaces. Probability. Third option is our combinations. Click that one in. 10, choose 0. I'm doing this one the long way just to illustrate it, but in real life I would just skip because we know that all of this is equal to 1. But that's okay for right now. Okay, and then we're just going to multiply these two by 5/6. 5/6 raised to the 10th power. There we go. And there's your answer right here. So this is what your probability of getting 0 is. But we have to take that and we have to add it to the probability of rolling a 1. Okay? So not this 0. Let's get rid of that guy right there. There we go. The probability of rolling 1 time, it's a 5. Looks a little bit better. Okay, so now we've got to calculate the probability that one of these rolls is a 5. So we're going to fill out the same information here. P is still going to be getting a 5. That's a probability of getting a 5. Q is a probability of not getting a 5. R, in this case, is going to actually be 1 because we want one of these rolls to be a success. And then our N value is still going to be 10. We're going to roll it 10 times. Okay, so the probability of getting a 5, we're going to do the same type of thing here. We're going to do our combination, but this time instead of choosing 0, we're going to choose 1. Okay, then we've got to determine what our probability of success is. In this case, it is 1/6. And we'll figure out what our probability of failure is. It's 5/6. 1/6 of the time it will land on a 5. 5/6 of the time it will not. Okay, so our R value will go right here. This one's going to be a 1. And then over here, this will be still a 10 minus 1 this time, which actually gives us 9. So we're using the same exact, in fact, if you look at these two, they look almost identical. The only difference is really right here. This is the number of successes. Before we had 0, now we have 1, which reduces this one down by 1. Okay, and again, you can plug that into your calculator. If you do, you find out that this is your probability of getting just one of those rolls being a 5. Okay, so for the probability that at most one roll is a 5, what we're going to do is combine these two together. So basically, I know what this total is and I know what this total is. I'm going to add these two here together. Okay, so we've got 0.16151. I got that from right here. This is my probability of getting a 5 0 times. Then I'm going to add that to my probability of getting a 5 1 time. So those two together would give me my answer in this case. That's the probability of finding at most one of those is a 5. Now, if I wanted to take it one step further, I would say find the probability that at least 2 rolls are 5s. So this one looks a little bit more complicated, but it's really the same process that we just did, but this time at least 2 of these are going to be 5. The way that we're going to calculate that is if 2 or more are going to be 5, that means that 2 of the rolls can be 5s, 3 of the rolls, 4 of the rolls, 6 of the rolls, any of those, all the way up to 10 of the rolls can be 5s. Every time we roll that dice 10 different times, as long as at least 2 of those are 5s, which is really just the probability of 1 minus the probability of getting 0 or 1 rolls being a 5, either one of those two. And we just calculated that. Okay, 0 or 1 roll being a 5, we just calculated that. That's what we had up here, 0.48452. So once we've calculated that, this next one becomes actually pretty easy. So now all we're going to do is go 1 minus that number. So we'll do that now. 2 or more rolls as a 5 is 1 minus the probability of getting 0 or 1 of the rolls being a 5, and then we just simplify it. That's just 0.51548. So this part here, once you've done all the other difficult part, this part is really actually pretty easy. But you've got to go through and do all of this first. Okay, I got to go back here. There we go, and calculate what the probability of getting 0 rolls or 1 roll being a 5 is. Then you can subtract that number from 1, because remember, the probability is always adds up to 1. That's 100% of the time, basically. So it always adds up to 1. So whenever we're doing this one, we're just going to take whatever that number is and subtract it from 1. That'll tell us the probability of getting at least 2 of those rolls being a 5.